and forever, the U enshrines all-time greats of athletics once again.
And later, prepping in the preseason, how one man has become the hub for athletes to improve their game.
And finally, serving it Spanish style. We'll take it to the courts to learn the game from one Canes tennis star.
All that and more.
Sports Desk starts
right now.
I'm Ed Reed, and you're watching Sports Desk.
Hi, I'm Jim Kelly, former UM guy. You're watching Sports Desk.
What's up? I'm DJ Williams, and y'all watching Sports Desk.
Hello, and welcome to our last episode of Sports Desk for the semester. I'm Annie Watson.
And I'm Shane McDonald. Thank you for joining us on this first hour-long edition of the show,
It's the end of the semester, but that doesn't mean the sports are stopping.
Oh no, they're continuing to go, especially Canes baseball right now. They're hot, and coming off of back-to-back ACC series wins, the Canes would have been happy just taking one game off of the 13th ranked Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Well, going into Sunday, they had a chance to take all three. Let's head to Marklight for the highlights. Canes taking on Georgia Tech, and to get it started, it's going to be Jake Ogden ripping this one into left field, getting on his second base, and following up is going to be Max Galvin skying this one high. It looks like it's got, but Georgia Tech is going to lose him in the sun here, dropping right there, going to move Ogden to third, and Tanner Smith going to drive both of them home with this moonshot out of the park. Daniel Cuvée going to follow it up. Bad fielding by Georgia Tech, going to get Miami another run and get Cuvée on base. Another great hit by Galvin. This one's going to get past the third baseman and into the left field. And another great hit by Ogden. A beautiful bunt's going to land him at first base. Poor fielding by Georgia Tech all day. The Canes are getting rowdy in the dugout right there. And now Georgia Tech can't get anything going. Another out. Miami is up and they are cooking. Tate DeRice is firing missiles on the mound. Miami is up big. This is going to be a nice hit by Georgia Tech here over center field, but the Canes are going to wrap it up with this right here. It's going to be 1 out, 2 outs, and 3 wins. Miami gets out their brooms, celebrating with a 10-2 victory against Georgia Tech.
After sweeping ranked Georgia Tech squad last weekend, Miami baseball will travel up the Eastern Seaboard to face Boston College and even play one game at Fenway Park. Our Inside Pitch crew breaks down what to expect this weekend and the rest of the season. Guys?
Thanks, Annie. Welcome to Inside Pitch. I'm your host, Ashley Friedland, joined by analyst Jake Baum. And Miami swept a top-ranked 15 team last weekend and number 1 in the ACC. That's Georgia Tech. They took all 3 games, but we couldn't have done that without the 2-star freshmen. That's Mikey Torres and Tate DeRice. But what's changing for the Miami Hurricanes? What's clicking for them now?
Yeah, and Mikey Torres, like you mentioned, helping out the team again with an RBI in the earlier game today against Boston College. But I'll tell you what hasn't been helping them. Consistency. They'll beat a team like Georgia Tech. They'll sweep a team like Georgia Tech, but then they'll lose in the midweek to FIU. So the consistency's all off. But it is impressive nonetheless. Now they've won 7 out of their last 9 matchups, including 3 straight ACC series wins against Pitt and then Duke and Georgia Tech. Nobody expected the Canes to win these games. But what has been working for them? Timely hitting and that next man up mentality. So when a guy gets hurt, they've been able to replace him. And if they keep this going, they can make a regional.
Speaking of guys getting hurt, Nick Robert is injured, but that means they have changed the pitching order, and it's really helped the Canes.
Yeah, ever since they took out Nick Robert because he got hurt, Griffin Uke has taken over that Friday night role, and guys like you mentioned, Tate DeRice and AJ Siskar, taking those roles, they've been exceptional on the pitching front. They're definitely attacking the zone. They're 5th in strikeouts, they're 5th in walks, but what haven't they been doing? They've not been painting the corners like they should. 11th in ERA, 11th in batting average against, but overall, much better than it was to start the season. And if they can continue it, I don't see why they can't be successful.
Absolutely. The Canes are now 10-9 after they took the first game of the series today up in Boston. So what do you think the Canes need to do to persevere for the rest of the season, and what do you predict to happen?
All right, what do the Canes got to do to make a regional? Right now, according to D1 Baseball, they would be a 3 seed in the Morgantown Regional up in West Virginia. But coming up, these matchups are going to be tough, but not as tough as some might think. Boston College, you already took 1. You just need 2 more. Okay, you got 1 tomorrow and 1 on Sunday. That's going to be at Fenway Park. Big game, big leagues. All right, NC State the next week, that's going to be your toughest matchup for the rest of the season. These guys are ranked. These guys are one of the best teams in the ACC. Super important to just take one. Don't get swept by NC State. I said that last week about Georgia Tech, but this is even more important now that you swept Georgia Tech. Virginia, Notre Dame, both winnable series, maybe even sweepable series. That's going to be really important to get into a regional coming forward.
Absolutely, but that's all the time we have for you guys today. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, guys. The words Miami baseball are loaded with history and memories of milkshakes, but the flow of the game would not be the same without one group who takes the field every homestand. Sarah Landau is live in studio to tell us more. Sarah?
The Miami Hurricanes baseball team is currently on a hot streak, going 7-1 in their last 8 games, but their wins come from more than just the diamond. I had the opportunity to speak with the Sugar Canes, commonly known as the Ball and Bat Girls, to learn more about them. When people think of what makes Miami Hurricanes baseball games so successful, they usually think of the players, fans, or even the maniac. But some of the most vital members of the game are often forgotten. The Sugar Canes, UM's Ball and Bat Girls, have the important job of collecting foul balls, gear, and other equipment for the team. According to Sugar Canes president Jenny Rivas, the job isn't so simple.
A lot of people, may think that it's not a huge role, but it is a pretty big role because at the end of the day, if we don't get a ball, that could slow down the game and that could cause some issues.
While the Sugar Canes were founded in 1968 and have a full team of 16 girls, they weren't always as fortunate with getting girls involved.
I would say over the past year, the team has developed so much. I'm actually so proud. We didn't have that big of a team, and a lot of the girls weren't very committed.
Taylor, who only joined last year, has already become an active member in the club.
So I'm a junior, but I joined Sugar Canes my sophomore year, just barely missed it freshman year, but I wish I would have been here. And it's been super fun watching the new girls come in with fresh excitement and being able to teach them some of the weird nuances and tell them old stories of crazy stuff that has happened.
The Sugar Canes make their own schedules based on availability, but they often do multiple games per week and even come to support the team when they're not working.
I'm here basically every game, even double headers. It's 90 degrees outside, I'll still be here. So I spend a lot of time here on and off the field.
But for the Sugar Canes, their involvement is fueled by something bigger.
What got me interested in becoming a Sugar Cane was actually growing up with baseball in my family. That is from Puerto Rico, and he used to play baseball himself. So baseball has kind of always been in my family.
For Jenny, Taylor, and Caitlin, being a part of this organization is more rewarding for them than anything.
At the end of the day, it is an organization, but we're a team. We're all here for the same purpose. We all share the commonality of loving baseball.
You can catch the Sugar Canes in action at every home game as they continue to be a staple to the Hurricanes baseball team. For UMTV, I'm Sarah Landau.
Thanks, Sarah. Canes baseball began their weekend series against Boston College earlier today, and they started out strong, taking down the Golden Eagles 2-1. A stalemate most of the game, the Canes were led by strong play at the mound by Griffin Hugas, who got through 6 innings with only 1 earned run. Tied into the 8th, it was Daniel Cuvée who got the Canes the lead. With an RBI double, Cuvée brought home Max Galvin and gave Miami a 2-1 lead to round out the game as Carson Fisher and Brian Walters came in relief and did not allow another run. Now, most Canes baseball fans won't ever truly get the inside scoop on how their favorite players live up to the task of at one of the nation's most historic programs. Our reporter Regina Patenta talked to 4 of the Canes stars and is here to tell us more. Regina?
The University of Miami baseball team has completely turned around their season after a rocky start, and just in time for playoffs. Max Keller and I sat down with pitchers Brian Walters and Griffin Hugas, second baseman Dorian Gonzalez Jr., and shortstop Jake Ogden to talk about growth, grit, and even green monsters.
When Max and I were talking to the baseball players, they all said the same thing. They owe their recent success to team chemistry.
Truly, honestly, it's been great, right? I had all the support in the world from my teammates from the start. My favorite thing about it is the energy they bring me and the life they bring me and the trust the coaches have in me. So it's super special and I'm super thankful.
And I know you guys are an extremely tight-knit group and you hit a little bit of a rough patch to start ACC play, but you guys have been on fire as of late. I know a lot of guys on this team really believe that you deserve to win because of how hard you guys work as a group and how close you are. How rewarding has it been to see the win column here at home?
I think it's definitely something we expected to do. JD's put that kind of confidence in us all year. There's not a lot of coaches who can fail that much with a team and then still have that kind of confidence and positivity that he keeps instilling in us.
And this team is pretty much all new. You only had 6 returning players. How has it been taking leadership, the new guys, as you enter a new era with the Miami baseball team?
And I've just never been more grateful for a group of guys and learned a lot about myself with it. So that's such a beautiful thing.
It's a fun environment to be around, and that just says about the close-knit part of our group. We have a lot of guys that have come together, 24-year-olds to 18-year-olds. It's been a really fun group, and we just want to keep that momentum going into this rest of the season that we have left.
Yeah, so we got a lot of new guys, and we just really, came together, and the coaches haven't really asked anyone to be a leader. We just kind of came together as a team, and it shows now.
I grew up coming to UM games. My childhood was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was at the Light. It's a dream come true to be here right now.
What has really guided you for your loyalty to this program?
Yeah, I would say it says a lot about the University of Miami as a whole. When my father was here, they obviously had a good run. They had teams that made it a long way, and we want to get back to that standard of Miami baseball.
What is the difference that you're seeing now? At the beginning of the season, your team was struggling to just get into ACC play, get those wins on the board. Now you guys have a shot at making the playoffs. What was the switch? Was there a single moment where you came together as a team and realized we actually have playoff contention?
Yeah, I mean, we won an ACC series, and ever since then, we've won, I think, the next 3. And I think we have a belief in the clubhouse that, we're a top team.
And this weekend, you're continuing ACC play with BC. You even have a game at Fenway. What are you excited for?
I'm excited for a road trip. I love going on the road, especially. We're seeing new places and getting to play ball, and super awesome. This weekend we play in Fenway, which many people will always dream of, and it's been a dream of mine to play in an MLB park like that. So I think the guys are fired up.
Fenway would be cool. The Green Monster. I want to see it.
And it's a special night. It's ALS, and that's special to our community with one of our assistant coaches, John Anderson, having a special connection with ALS and his mother. So it means a lot to us, and that day is going to be super special for all of us.
I mean, just the cause for the game, the ALS, Coach Anderson here has been directly affected by it, and just pretty cool to be a part of something like that, just to see a coach like that bring some light on that terrible disease, and just be able to show the importance of it, and to be able to do that in Fenway is pretty cool.
The Fenway Park Miami vs. Austin College game will take place this Sunday at noon. Following this weekend's series, the Canes will play at home next weekend as the underdogs against 25th ranked NC State.
Thanks, Regina. Coming up on Sports Desk, we'll take you inside the Huddle for a discussion on how the sports world is being affected by gambling and what the future holds. We'll be right back after this.
To eat apples and bananas. I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Summer's just around the corner in South Florida, and things are heating up in Miami in more ways than one. Gio Alonso, Riley McManus, and Tucker Kinney are here to bring us the latest in Canes hoops on this week's edition of Hurricane Hang Time. Guys?
Hello and welcome back to another segment of Hurricane Hang Time. I'm your host, Riley McManus, joined by Gio Alonso and Tucker Kinney. Starting off, the men's team has gotten some new players for the upcoming season, but more specifically, ex-Duke commit Shelton Henderson is coming to the U. Gio, tell us more about this 5-star commit.
Yeah, Riley, absolutely. Move out of the way, Will Smith, and welcome in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Texas, Shelton Henderson, a consensus top 20 recruit and the number 14 player according to 247 Sports in the entire class. of 2025. He's going to give Miami a dynamic piece on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball, but Jay Lucas doesn't sleep, and Miami has continued to bring in quality recruits, including 4-star guard Dante Allen from high school power Montverde Academy. But I want to talk about Marcus Allen for a bit, a lockdown defender from Missouri who will also be playing at that 3 spot. Jay Lucas is building up a strong roster in Miami, predicated on defense and various offensive pieces, and it's going to be very interesting to see how Miami continues to build out for the rest of the summer and fall.
Thank you, Gio. Tucker, the women's team has gotten 2 new transfers for their upcoming season. Tell us more about these athletes.
Yeah, Riley, Trisha Cullip has added 2 new players to the U ahead of next year, starting off with Jessica Peterson. She's a 6'2 center coming in from SMU. She led the ACC and finished 7th in the country for rebounds per game this year. Now the other player is Rashaya Kyle, coming in from the University of Florida, another center. She finished 6th in the SEC for rebounds per game and 2nd on the Florida squad for scoring. Now, there is a concern with her as she finished the 21-22 and 23-24 seasons early due to injury, but if she can stay fit, these 2 players will add a lot of quality to this team, especially since Trisha Cullip didn't have a traditional center on her squad this year. It'll be interesting to see how she can utilize these players and the dynamic going into next season.
Thank you, Tucker. Well, that's all the time we have here today. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, guys. Just a few years ago, the biggest leagues in the U.S. wanted nothing to do with sports betting. Now, it's become part of the DNA of most sports fans. Derek Karachi and Manny Nacarado take it to the Huddle to see where we'll go from here. Guys?
Thanks, Jay. I'm Dara Karachi, and welcome to this special live edition of the Huddle on SportsDesk. I'm joined by Manny Nacarado, and guys, I know I don't have to tell you how exciting it was to see Cam Ward drafted #1 overall to the Tennessee Titans last night, and we also are not surprised if you are one of those people that likes to dabble in sports betting. The odds for Cam Ward going #1 overall were -20,000. So now that we're seeing DraftKings, FanDuel, and ESPN Bet becoming really big and commercialized, Manny, what's your take on how sports betting is impacting the industry?
Absolutely. But first, I just want to say thank you, Dara, for having me on this special edition of The Huddle. But yeah, let's get into it. Obviously, sports gambling has implemented itself into the culture of sports itself right now. 30% of Americans are sports gambling online. That's data coming from 2024. And states can now use that money that are being made in revenue from these companies as taxable. Right now, New Jersey's got a 14% tax on it, Ohio 20%, and North Carolina 18%. So if fans are enjoying it, they're having a good time watching games and having some skin in the game, and it's also helping states out. I think it's a good thing.
All right. Well, I can completely understand how, as a fan, it might be more exciting to watch a game when you know you've got money on the line there. Maybe you feel like you're part of the team. But I just have to ask, how can we as fans be confident in the integrity of the games we're watching when we've already seen scandals happen with NBA players and referees fixing games to make a certain outcome?
Well, I mean, sports gambling scandals have been happening for a long, long time. Before sports gambling was even legal and before it was even so commercialized like it is today. I mean, we can go back to Pete Rose, sports gambling on his own games from '89 as one of the most notorious examples of sports gambling. I mean, it's going to happen, and that's why these leagues are trying to do the best they can, policing their athletes. And I think, you know, some of the punishments are very harsh for these athletes, which I think is perfect. I think it's great that these athletes should get punished because it's messing with the integrity of the game. But I think the leagues are doing a good job because, you know, punishment could be suspension, loss in money and contracts, and I think they're doing a good job, or even expulsion. So I think the leagues do a good job in policing that.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that, but it also feels like maybe they've got to make some kind of a disciplinary action just for show. You know, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, and who's to say that the people making those decisions aren't also involved in some way?
I don't know, Dara. I don't know.
Am I reading it too much into it?
Yeah, I think you're reading too much into it. I mean, that would be a big conspiracy. And now that the government's involved with sports gambling and they're getting a piece of what's coming in to these websites, I think they're going to want to know if a league is trying to fix games in any way. So, and a lot of people would probably be going to federal prison if that were the case. But so no, I don't think that's going to be happening on a large scale because I don't think the incentive is big enough for these leagues to lose integrity and to possibly face, you know, not existing anymore from the federal government. So yeah, I don't think that would be a big issue.
I mean, I'd call me a conspiracy theorist, but we really would have no way of knowing. I mean, people are already talking about, like we see with Patrick Mahomes, everybody always feels like the refs are kind of on their side. But I want to take it back to the college level, because all of us here, and maybe if you're watching this, you are a college student perhaps, and this is becoming a really big issue with our young people getting addicted to gambling. So how can we make sure that this doesn't become a bigger problem?
Yeah, well, obviously, what I feel with the promotion in sports gambling, I feel is the same as the promotion with, alcohol or alcoholic beverages. All their vices are commercialized on TV. Yeah. I think I see as many Bud Light commercials as I see Hard Rock Bet commercials.
But that's a problem. I mean, it's not the same level.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. But I do think it's the same level, though. I think sports gambling would be the same as alcohol. People are addicted to alcohol. People can be addicted to gambling. So I think it's really up to the person and at their discretion if they want to get involved.
Right. Well, I just want to bring up one point. LSU partnered with Caesars Palace and sent a mass email to their students, directly to their student emails, offering them $300 in bets. So we're already starting to see that it's only becoming more rampant on college campuses. So unfortunately, that is all the time that we have today. Thanks so much for joining us. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Dara. Over the years, many exceptional athletes have come and gone through the University of Miami athletics programs. And although those athletes may have graduated, they are definitely not forgotten. Delaney Haddad has the story.
As the spring semester comes to a close, 8 former Canes athletes return to their alma mater to receive the highest athletic honor, a spot in the University of Miami Sports Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is home to fewer than 400 remarkable athletes who had left their mark on Miami. Each year, friends, family, and current Hall of Famers come together to celebrate the achievements of the new inductees.
This event is just getting the inductees up on stage, and the cool thing is they tell their story.
Athletes are eligible at least 10 years after graduation. The inductees are chosen by an anonymous selection committee, and as the president, Mike Ward gets the privilege of sharing the good news.
It's probably the neatest thing the president does is make that call and, hey, you're going to be in the University of Miami Sports Hall of Fame and Museum. Darius was like, Coach, is this the call I've been waiting for? And I'm like, yes, Darius, this is the call you've been waiting for.
I was like, why is the track coach calling me? Do I have another year of eligibility left? I can go run a little bit. I mean, just to get that invite, it just shows that all your hard work was appreciated, and I'm happy to be here.
The class of 2025 consists of 8 athletes from 7 different sports. Among them is Cindy Kessler-Miller, a golf player who graduated from the University of Miami in 1978, almost 50 years ago.
I ended up graduating the #1 player on the team, and now 50 years later, I'm getting in the Hall of Fame, so it's a real big deal.
A spot in the UM Sports Hall of Fame is not just a bragging right. It's a way for those who have significantly contributed to Hurricanes athletics to stay close to their Canes family. Delaney Haddad, UMTV.
I'm everywhere. I'm all over.
Thanks, Delaney. Up next on Sports Desk, how one mom and son duo are racing around the track and taking on the Special Olympics regional games. But first, it's time for some trivia. Taking a 3-0 series win against the then 13th ranked Georgia Tech, the Hurricanes got their first sweep over a top 15 ranked team in 4 seasons. Now, who was the last team the Canes got the Brooms out for? Was it A, Virginia, B, North Carolina, C, Duke, or D, Florida State? The answer when Sports Desk returns.
Guys, Jordan's leaving. That's so sad. What do you have to say?
Pack your bags, buddy.
You can't say bye to me yet, Shay. We still have the whole half of the show.
All right.
Fine. I mean, just take your bags.
You got to catch a flight somewhere, I'm sure.
Eventually, at some point, I guess.
Are you guys excited for...
Hi, I'm Regina Potenza. I've been part of UMTV since August 2021, so it's been 4 years, and I have anchored, hosted, reported on NewsVision, Sports Desk, and UMTV This Morning. My favorite memory from UMTV has been when we had UMTV This Morning followed by Sports Desk, because some of us were in the studio at 3 a.m. and then we were here to about 8:30 p.m. without leaving, so we're really dedicated to Studio B.
My name is Max Keller, and I have done Sports Desk, Uni Miami, Canes Cast, and NewsVision and Newsbreak. I was an anchor for NewsVision and a reporter. I've been a reporter for SportsDesk, and going all the way back, I used to do IGTV for SportsDesk. I know that sounds pretty crazy. And then I did weather for Canes Cast, and I did entertainment for Uni. One piece of advice I would give to the underclassmen is that your friends at UMTV are really important. I think it's easy to show up and participate in a UMTV show and then go home and kind of forget about that until the next recording. But the people you meet here are really special, and there's a lot of opportunities to make important friendships that are not only important for college, but can really help you and last even longer than college.
Welcome back to Sports Desk. If you said A, Virginia, you would be correct. The Canes swept the then number 3 ranked Cavaliers in the 2021-22 season, outscoring them by 15 runs over the 3 games. Ranked 8th going into the series, the dominant win moved the Canes into the top 5 in the nation. Athletes from across South Florida gathered in Miami last weekend not just to compete, but to inspire. The Special Olympics Regional Games gave participants a chance to showcase their skills, build confidence, and celebrate ability in every form. Penelope Gilbert has the story.
At the Special Olympics, everyone gets an opportunity to cross the finish line, whether it's on foot, with walkers, or on wheels. Among those competing is Blake Holmes, who has found confidence and purpose in each step he takes on the track.
What I'm doing here is to walk and to also have fun too.
Blake's journey to the finish line all started with the support of his mom, who is both his biggest cheerleader and his coach.
He's getting a love for everything, so I'm like, every time he wants to do something, I get certified to coach.
Together, they've discovered that competing builds more than athletic skill. For Blake, who's autistic, it's been a chance to grow.
It took him out of his shell. It gave him a chance to become more active and more involved, especially with the community.
That was Barry Schulman's goal when founding the event, creating an uplifting environment for people of all kinds of disabilities.
It gives them something that they have to work towards. So this event shows them that all the work they did led up to something.
And the event impacts these athletes beyond competition day.
To see the joy on their face, knowing that they all are being cheered on, you know, that makes my heart smile.
Penelope Gilbert, UMTV.
Thanks, Penelope. From the track to the diamond, spring is definitely in the air, and the MLB never fails to make the game interesting, even early in the season. Let's take it to Camden Yards for your first play of the day. Taking on over to Baltimore, the Orioles.
Cam Ward going #1 overall to the Tennessee Titans. He had a phenomenal career here at Miami. 1 year, but it was great. Heisman candidate, many miraculous moments, especially that Cal game. You think of that. You think of all those great moments throughout his time here at Miami. And to celebrate it with ending off here, being drafted #1 overall, he's going to have a great career in the NFL, and I'm happy to see him go 1.
Still ahead on Sports Desk, we'll pass it along to Jordan and Penelope for the second half of the first ever hour-long edition of Sports Desk.
Plus, our spring football beat reporter Jaden Cohey is live from Miami's practice facility with her takeaways from the NFL Draft. All that and more when Sports Desk returns.
Don't go anywhere.
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire. How to control the flames. What to do with hot coals. How to secure your chains.
There's no sparks.
But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, boss. Okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
You sure?
I said I'm fine.
Since I was little, it was only like me and my parents.
You think you created family out of characters?
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna take that, make it into a song.
Put me to bed, see you in the morning. With the frosted Superman, but it wasn't on it. And we lost it. In my head, in my head, in my head. Where you at? Where you at? On the way out. In my head, in my head, in my head.
Hey, son.
Hey, Pop.
You can talk to me.
It's been really, really hard for me.
Hello and welcome back. I'm Penelope Gilbert.
And I'm Jordan Cerullo. Thanks for staying with Sports Desk.
You know, Jordan, it's been over 30 years since we've seen a Miami Hurricane go #1 overall in the NFL draft, and we saw just that last night.
Cam Ward, he's been the star of the show this season, a Heisman finalist, broke multiple Canes football awards. I'm excited to see what's next for him. The spotlight has been shining bright on the University of Miami this week after Cam Ward went #1 overall last night. But he's not the only Cane chasing NFL dreams. There are more Canes hoping to hear their names called this weekend. Our spring football beat reporter Jaden Cohey is live from the Hecht Athletic Center to break down the draft from the Canes' perspective. Jaden, what happened and what can we expect?
Jordan, I'm here at Hecht Athletic Center where the Hurricane journey began for 20 of the eligible draft picks this season. That including overall first pick quarterback Cam Ward, who will make his way over to Music City to play for the Tennessee Titans. What an emotional moment for Cam Ward, from an underrated prospect out of high school with no FBS offers to wearing the U on one of the biggest stages in football, as the third Miami Hurricane to be the first named. Behind me is a building that has built superstars, where teams have bonded and where players have dreamed of what can happen after college athletics. Now is the time to find out. Tonight we'll continue with rounds 2 and 3 before finishing up tomorrow with rounds 4 through 7. Some of the other players that could be named throughout this weekend include Elijah Arroyo and Xavier Estrepo. Live from Hecht Athletic Center, Jaden Cohey, UMTV. Back to you.
Thanks, Jaden. At the NFL Combine, players get one shot to prove their ability to play football at the highest level. And preparing for that takes intense and precise training. Shay McDonald takes us to one South Florida training facility that prepares athletes for the big day.
Almost every day in Aventura, you can find athletes of all levels flooding in and out of Pete Bomarito's training facility. Having coached football at every step, he's taking what he's learned with the pros and giving it to the youth.
So I just thought it was a brilliant concept how they were trying to treat kids as professional athletes with specific modifications based on growth spurts. So my idea was to take that entire concept and bring it to the masses, not just the people that could afford like an IMG.
Bomarito has become the go-to guy for those looking to take their game to the next level. Across fields, you can find pros like Commanders leading receiver Terry McLaurin, Rams leading running back Kyron Williams, and the list of pros that come through this building goes on and on. As he works with top-tier athletes through the draft, training camp, and more, he uses the latest in sports science to attack specific weaknesses and help guys grow.
And that's how you can be very, very specific. Not just football specific or, let's say, receiver specific, but specific to how that body is built, how that body is going through a growth spurt, how that body responded just from the wear and tear of the season itself. That is today's industry.
It's by following these advances in sports science that Bomarito is able to help his athletes continue to improve.
Just treating my body right, not pushing too hard, doing all the little mobility stuff he gives and all that, making sure my body's up to par for camp and all that.
And as the field continues to shift and change, Bomarito is going to continue to stay ahead of the curve.
It's what this industry is. If you are not on the cutting edge and educated with the technology and have the technology, you're just going to get left behind.
For UMTV, Shay McDonald.
Go! Thanks, Shay. With Cam Ward moving on to the next chapter and key players such as Carson Beck stepping up, it is an exciting time for Canes football. For the very first time, Luke Bell and Dylan Grodner are live to give us their takes on what we can expect for this upcoming season. Guys?
Thanks, Jordan.
Welcome back to this special edition of Head to Head Live, and also our final one of the semester. I'm your host, Dylan Grodner, and as always, I'm joined by Luke Bell. Pleasure to have you.
Dylan, for the final time this semester, it's a pleasure to be here.
Same here. Well, guys, the Canes season is approaching, and there's a lot to talk about. First off, let's talk about the quarterback transition. Going from Cam Ward, who's a Heisman candidate, recently the first overall pick in the draft, an overall generational talent, to Carson Beck. How do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, Dylan, when we look at Cam Ward, right, you're taking a guy that just went first overall in the draft. So you look at Carson Beck. Can he emulate that presence? I don't know, but
I think he can.
I think he can too. But when we look at Cam Ward and what he did at Washington State, was he the best ever? No, right? But then he came to Miami, and he kind of became the best in college football as far as quarterbacks. Maybe that's a little bias. Who knows? But he became that when he came to Miami, when they took him under his wing, when he learned through this offensive scheme. Air raid, works out. So I think that Carson Beck can fit in with this program. It's all about how he fits in, his timing, the chemistry that he makes with the O-line and the wide receivers, but I think he's got it.
I totally agree with you, Luke. And you got to remember, this is a $4 million man on the line, so he's no joke. So we're not going from, some amazing player to some bum. We're going to an amazing player that played for Georgia.
Precisely.
He's a big-time player. My only, issue is, can he recover from his shoulder injury, which I think he can. He's been preparing all offseason long, and I think he'll be back and better than ever, living in Miami and ready to go. But let's now talk about rebuilding the offense. We've lost a lot of our best players, including Xavier Restrepo, Damian Martinez, amongst many others. How do you think we can rebuild this?
Well, when you look at the offense, again, I'm not going to make the focal point Carson Beck, but he is the main piece of this offense. I think if he can bring in the rookies and even the transfers, right, and kind of develop this scheme and obviously work with Mario and the offensive coordinator, a lot of good things can happen. But it starts with him. Can he come back from this injury? These are answers we don't have answers for. But I do think with time, pressure's on, he's going to figure out a way to develop a scheme, and the offense is going to pull through. I really do.
You also got to think about guys like JoJo Trader and Jordan Lyle, who are going to take more prominent roles at the end of the day. These guys were hiding in, some of those players' shadows last season, and now this is their time to shine. This is their time to make a name for themselves. And with Carson Beck leading the offense, I think they can really make some noise.
Absolutely.
And really, honestly, make a name for themselves. And, we'll look at them as some of the best offensive players, like we looked at the previous players that were playing for Miami.
100%. Absolutely.
And finally, I want to talk about, we have a pretty challenging schedule this year. We have some big teams we're playing in the first few games of the season. We're playing, starting off with Notre Dame, then UF, FSU, some of those top teams. Can Miami capitalize? How can they do that?
Well, Dylan, that's a great question. When we look at what this team did in the first game of the season last year, this team went into the swamp and drained it. They took care of business. It was Cam Ward's first game. And listen, the pressure was on. The lights were bright. The alligators were chomping. But it didn't matter because he had the presence, he had the wherewithal to kind of step back and make it happen. Now, this is a home game. This is a home game against the Notre Dame.
We have a lot of those.
Very much. Now, it's Riley Leonard. He's gone. This is a new quarterback. This is going to be a kind of a new team, a new focal point.
Definitely.
And I think if the Hard Rock is rocking and the energy is up, they're going to make it happen.
Totally agree with you, Luke. And I think you got to think about it. These games are how we start off hot. If we start off by beating Notre Dame, our season is, ready to go. We've made ourselves known. We're ready to take on FSU and some of these other big teams. If we lose that game, I'm not as confident.
Yeah.
But I think that's a make or break game for our entire season.
1-0 versus 0-1 in college football, it's a big deal. It really is. It's a big deal.
It is. And now the last thing I want to discuss with you is the defense. That was our biggest issue this year. How do you see that playing out this year?
Simply put, new defensive coordinator. We got Corey Heatherman out of Minnesota. We brought him over from the Golden Gophers, and his scheme out there was multifaceted. He had a lot of guys running around. He knew what he was doing. So I wouldn't be the one to tell everyone I don't think he's going to do it. I think he is. And he's got some guys. He got Charles Brantley coming in from Michigan State, Zachariah Poyser, which is a Jack State guy who came in. I think we're in good hands. I do.
I'd agree with you, Luke, and I think, this is our year. If we have all the pieces put together, I think we can really make some noise.
Absolutely.
But with that being said, that's all we have for today, and back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Dylan and Luke. Coming up on Sports Desk, hear how one local run club celebrates diversity and unity after a short break.
I'm an ex-drug dealer, and I'll be your sub today. Two milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. A lethal dose is in here. Who gets it, I won't know.
Run clubs have become a phenomenon across Miami, but one special group stands out for uniting diverse cultures through high energy and showing up for each other. I got the chance to see what they're all about earlier this week. Juanchi's Burger is known for more than just its burgers. Every Wednesday, something special happens in the back of the restaurant. That is where the Run Little Havana Run Club meets. The club was created to make running more inclusive, build a fitness community in Little Havana, and bring together people from different cultures across Miami.
We have people who pop in who just live in the neighborhood. Sometimes they've just seen us running or walking, and they'll just be like, hey, I saw you guys, like, it looks pretty cool, and that's how they end up being regular.
The club offers runners from diverse backgrounds a weekly chance to connect, not just through fitness, but through community.
It's really cool that as I've moved from neighborhood to neighborhood, now living in Little Havana, there's still always something that you can do to bring yourself out and get to know other people in your neighborhood.
The group runs a 2-mile route every time they meet, keeping it accessible for beginners and experienced runners alike. But what truly sets the Little Havana Run Club apart is Tony.
What I do here is exactly that, cheer people. I actually really love going out of my way most of the time and just congratulating people, cheering them on, making them feel like they can do more.
Tony is the club's official cheerleader, motivating every runner to push a little harder and celebrate their efforts. At the end of each run, he surprises participants with confetti cannons and treats.
A lot of times people come into this by themselves, come into the run club by themselves, and I want to assure them if they come to Run Little Havana, they're definitely going to get the #1 cheerleader on their side all the time.
With Tony's energy and the club's dedication to community, the Run Little Havana Run Club continues to show up week after week. Thank you, Jordan. As the season begins to wrap up for many of Miami's Olympic sports, they continue to make themselves known on both the conference and national level. Our Osports Roundup crew is in studio with the latest. Guys.
What's up, Canes fans, and welcome back to the last edition of the Osports Roundup of the semester. I'm Ariel Lopez.
And I'm Luca Mucciardi.
Luca, I heard that the rowing team has some tough competition this week. What's going on?
Well, Canes Rowing will be back in action this weekend at the Lake Wheeler Invitational in Raleigh, North Carolina. They're coming off a middle-of-the-pack finish last weekend at the Big Ten Invitational in Sarasota, and with only one more meet after this, they'll be looking to get back in action and get ready for their postseason push. Ari, I heard that some of the men's tennis players earned some accolades this past weekend. Why don't you tell us more?
Yes, Luca, big honors for the Miami men's tennis senior Martin Katz. He's been named to the All-ACC second team. It is the first career conference nod for Katz, who went 25-9 in singles this season, including 8-2 in ACC play. The team now awaits its NCAA tournament fate on April 28th. Luca, I heard that there's a superstar in women's tennis. Tell us about it.
Well, after winning a national championship in the singles last year, Alexa Noel was back to her dominance on the court, finishing the season at 15-1 record and a 9-0 in the conference play. She finishes the year at number 14 in the ITA rankings. Ari, I heard that women's golf is making their postseason push. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, Luca, the Miami Hurricanes women golf is headed to the NCAA tournament. The Canes earned the 9th seed in the Lexington Regional, their 30th NCAA appearance, and second straight under head coach Janice Olivencia. They'll tee off May 5th, facing a tough field that includes 7 top 40 teams.
Well, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Osports Roundup. Back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, guys. One Canes tennis player is making his mark, bringing his talent and Spanish roots to the 305. Our reporter Jaden Cohey got to take a closer look at a special edition of Athlete of the Week.
Welcome back to the special edition of Athlete of the Week. I'm your host, Jaden Cohey, and I'm joined here by a special guest, Nacho Serra Sanchez from the men's tennis team, and today I'm going to try and learn how to play tennis. All right, so, Nacho, tell me a little bit about where you grew up.
I grew up in Spain, in a town next to Valencia.
What do you love so much about it?
I love, it's an individual sport. Here in college where I'm with my teammates, and I love that. But it's just I'm competitive.
What kind of hobbies do you have outside of tennis?
I like to spend time with my family, with my friends, and also I like to eat a lot.
So we're gonna play a game. This was probably popular. You probably played this growing up. Piedra, papel, tijera. Yeah, rock, paper, scissors in English. You probably grew up playing that, right? So what I want to do is whoever wins will get to serve. You'll probably have a much stronger serve than me. So let's see how this goes. Ready?
There's no way.
There is a way.
I have to change the plan, yeah.
See, at least I'm winning at something here.
Yeah.
I need a win. I need a win. Okay, got one.
Good one.
That was good. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
I appreciate you.
Go high, put your racket here.
Okay.
It's easier.
Yeah.
And then from here, keep your elbow high and just the momentum and hit it.
Okay. 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 Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Nacho, thank you so much for trying to teach me tennis. I clearly was not that good and I need more lessons from you, but I appreciate you for taking it easy on me. And thank you so much for watching this week's special edition of Athlete of the Week. Back to you.
Thanks, Jaden. The semester may be winding down, but Cane Socials won't stop taking the crown. From that infamous draft chime to the victory on the mound, the rhyme and the sound can only mean one thing. Behind the post is all around. Take it away, Johnny.
Well, everyone, grab your tissues. This is the last time you're going to see me here on Behind the Post. I know, but don't cry because it's over. Smile, because you've been able to hang out with me all semester long. So for one final time, I'm here to take all of you behind the post. I'm Johnny Mushin, and I'm your host. Cameron Anthony Ward. Where do I begin? The #1 overall pick. When I heard his name called, I think I shed a tear. This is probably my favorite #1 pick of all time. Okay, well, maybe make that my second favorite of all time. But Cam Ward isn't the only thing blessing my feed. The ALSI Shuck Bucket Challenge is back and going all around with some of the best in Canes athletics showing their support.
Hi, my name is Tate DeRise.
I was nominated
to do the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
You have 24 hours.
Now, I'm sure all of you have become incredibly depressed that I'm leaving you. So I'm going to give you some good news. The Canes baseball team is on a hot streak. Blue Devils, Owls, Yellow Jackets, all victims of the Canes. Vibes are surely high in Coral Gables. So, it seems like this is it. And let me tell you something. I'm excited to finally be able to leave the studio. I mean, I've been in a super uncomfortable suit in front of a green screen without any fresh air and listening to this god-awful music. Can someone cut the music, please? Thank you, that's better. But before I leave, I have to thank the one person who's responsible for putting on this entire show. The person who put so much effort in making sure that this show is great. Now come on out, you. Oh, there you go. Oh, you're doing a little dance. Oh, I like it. You're so handsome. You're so talented. Thank you so much for everything you do here. Well, I think to close out my time here, I need to go where I really belong. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, a retirement home. So thank you all so much for a very special semester. One final time, I'm Johnny Mushin, and I just took all of you behind the post. Back to you.
Up next on Sports Desk, we're keeping the trip down memory lane rolling with a look back at the show's history. Taryn Jacobs has the story right after the break. But first, it's time for some trivia. Last night, Cam Ward became the first Miami player in over 30 years to be selected first overall in the NFL Draft. But who was the last to do it? Was it A, Andre Johnson, B, Jim Kelly, C, Vinny Testaverde, or Russell C. Maryland? Find out the answer when Sports Desk returns.
What's going on? I'm the host of Behind the Post and athlete extraordinaire Johnny Muschin. I accept the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. I nominate faculty advisor Everett Julie. You have 24 hours.
Hi, I'm Jordan Cerullo. I've been involved in 4 shows at my time here. I reported on Pulse. I've anchored Newsbreak and Next on News Vision and also reported on News Vision, and I'm now the anchor of Sports Desk. I would say my biggest piece of advice is to always stay positive and stay true to yourself. You're going to face rejection, work is going to get hard sometimes, but just know that everything is going to work out the way it's supposed to, and you're going to get everything done one step at a time.
I'm Jaya Williams. I was Athlete of the Week host and lead sports reporter this year for UMTV Sports Desk. I think my favorite memory has just been getting to know all of these amazing people, from the faculty to all of my colleagues and the athletes that I get to interview. Getting to know people and making those connections are things that you'll have for life. The biggest thing that I'm going to take with me is the voice that I found here and continuing to build on that and grow.
Welcome back to Sports Desk. If you picked D, you're correct. After being named a unanimous All-American in 1990, defensive tackle Russell Maryland was picked first overall by the Dallas Cowboys in the 1991 NFL Draft. Maryland played 10 seasons in the NFL, during which he won 3 Super Bowls.
The 6-time college television award-winning sports show you know and love wasn't always what it is today. Taryn Jacobs is in studio with more on the history of Sports Desk.
Sports Desk roots date back to the 1990s when a group of guys decided to start their own sports show at UMTV with no experience. And what seemed like a fun idea turned into something much more. Their legacy continues to live within the walls of Studio B. Here is the second part of the history of Sports Desk.
And that something different became more than they could have ever imagined.
We never really thought about leaving something, but God, it's so great to know how many kids have passed through those walls and have been in that studio and have been able to do that, that never were able to do that before. That's just so awesome.
I'm just so glad that what we started is still going. And it's beautiful to see. I'm just so amazed. It's like I have the biggest smile on my face, and I'm just thinking about all the good times that I had here. It was amazing.
It's incredible to think that that was something that in one of these studios, we sat down one day at 1 in the morning, Sean and I drinking coffee at 1 in the morning while kids are out in the Grove partying. We're at 1 in the morning sitting there trying to figure out how the heck are we going to do a sports show. To think 30 years later it still exists is wild.
What they didn't realize at the time was how the show would continue to help them way after they had graduated.
It helped us all, get our first job somewhere, so it was definitely helpful, influential, and it just put us on the path to when we got out in the real world, we knew what to do.
Without it, who knows if I ever am able to grow from my first job into a second job. Maybe I lose passion in the business because things aren't going well.
In 1999, Will moved back to South Florida for an on-air sports job at WPLG. A few years later, Will and Kirk had an on-air reunion decades after they last anchored Sports Desk together.
So it was surreal to sit on the set and look across, and we looked at each other, and he's like, can you believe 20 years ago we were on Sports Desk figuring this out, trying to figure out, here we are in Miami on a real television show at a television station, a powerhouse station, and we're about to host a Sunday night show. It was like a pinch me moment.
It's now decades later, the technology is much better and the facilities are much nicer. And students no longer have to tape at 1 in the morning. But one thing remains the same. Sports Desk continues to have a profound impact on students.
No, I wouldn't be the same if it weren't for Sports Desk. It's definitely a decision that I made in college that impacted the rest of my life.
Amanda was one of the executive producers of Sports Desk when it won its very first college television award in 2019.
And the winner is Sports Desk, the team from University of Miami.
We took the show that had never been nominated and we put our all into it and took it to another level. And in doing that as well, kind of, I wouldn't say raised a generation of new sports desk people, but kind of invited them to come in and showed them what they can do with hard work and dedication.
Their legacy is being carried on by today's students, and Amanda is proud of what the show has become.
But it is really cool to know, like, to see, oh, they won another CTA, they won another award, and me, Val, and Luis are kind of like, aren't we glad we did this? Like, aren't we glad we pushed ourselves? Because now all these people are having lifelong memories, and we feel like we have a little part of that, you know?
It's those memories and those experiences that most students who had worked on Sports Desk carry with them for the rest of their lives.
It's not just a TV show at all. I don't know what it is, but this show just attracts, like, I feel like the best people. And I'm very happy for, like, the friendships that I have and the relationships that I still have because of Sports Desk.
Oh my God, it's like a brotherhood, you know what I'm saying? Because like we knew, you know, what we did here, and you know, and that meant so much to us that we wanted to, you know, keep it going in our own careers and, you know, blaze our own trails.
But for us, it was, you know, we were doing what we were destined to do and destined to be. And many of us had great careers after that in TV and industry. We all supported each other afterwards, all kept track of one another. And it's been a brotherhood that's lasted decades and eras.
And had I not done that, there's no way I'd be as good in my own career as I've become. And there's no way that I would have been able to accomplish the things that I've accomplished if I didn't have that kind of a challenge at the time. That's really what it's all about. It's doing something that's challenging.
I tell people all the time, I didn't major in broadcast journalism and history here. I majored in sports desk and resume tapes.
I remember so much, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
When you're passionate about something and you really pour your heart and energy into it and you love it, that's when you can be something great.
And every Friday, students continue to pour their hearts into producing the show. Earlier this month, Sports Desk won another College Television Award for the 6th year in a row, proving that the students' dedication pays off. For UMTV, I'm Taryn Jacobs.
Thanks, Taryn. The NHL playoffs are in full swing, and the reigning champs are facing off in a Sunshine State showdown against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Let's take it to Amalie Arena for the shot that's turning heads across the hockey world. Game 1 of the Stanley Cup playoffs, Mackie Skambeskevich on the wall, chips it into center. Sam Bennett waiting for the deflection, and he scores. Take a look at this again. Bennett batting past Andrei Vasilevsky to give the Panthers a 1-0 lead. The Panthers go on to take a 6-2 win and a 1-0 series lead. The Panthers also played last night to take another win against the Lightning and now have a 2-0 series lead. What a start for the Panthers, and that is your play of the day.
Each week, the cast and crew of Sports Desk spends their Fridays here in the studio. And with how much time we all spend together, we're bound to have some outtakes of our own. Let's take a look at some of the funniest behind-the-scenes moments from the semester. You sure do see a lot of interesting things in the studio. Some of us are here as early as 11 a.m. and don't leave until we wrap the show at 7:30 p.m. But this is what makes us a family and what makes Sports Desk so much fun. Oh, a lot of dancing going on here on Sports Desk. We've got to do what we got to do to keep ourselves going. Of course, party in the edit bay, always. Love to see videos produced early. And we have some of our seniors here with us today. Guys, how does it feel to be done with Sports Desk and UMTV in general?
Just you go first.
It's crazy. I can't even believe how quickly it flew by.
4 years since August 2021. I can't even process that this is the last time we'll be standing up here. You're senior too, Jordan.
It's crazy.
You guys are my family. You're my UMTV family. I'm gonna miss you all. And for the very last time, I'm Jordan Cerullo.
I'm Regina. Regina, you go first.
Oh, I'm Penelope Gilbert.
I'm Regina Potenza.
And I'm Jaya Williams.
Thank you. That's all the time we have for tonight on this hour-long edition of Sports Desk.
Thanks again for joining us. Have a great summer, and be sure to tune in next semester every Friday night, same time, same place.
Have a great night.